This is Dear Strategy, episode 142. Welcome to another episode of Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions about product, business, and personal strategy. I'm your host, Bob Caparelli. This is episode 142, being recorded in April of 2024. Welcome back, strategy creators, to another great episode. This is, again, episode 142. And this is a follow-up episode. So in episode 141, our last episode, I talked about the two golden rules of small businesses. Maybe there really should be the two golden rules of any business. But, since I am a small business owner, I work with a bunch of small business owners. I frequent, a bunch of small businesses. And these are the things that, in my experience, I think small businesses need to pay attention to in order to succeed. And if you remember from that episode, you could go back and listen to it if you'd like. They were, one, making sure that you diligently follow up. And that's not just in any one aspect. That's everywhere, right? Whether that's quotations, whether that is with existing customers, whether that's in your own administration, taxes, finances, whatever else. Diligent follow-up is the first golden rule. And then the second golden rule was never treating your customers like they're a burden. And there's a whole bunch of, things that go along with that as well. But what I said in the last episode was that I'm going to expand upon each one of those because I didn't feel like I could adequately cover both of them in a single episode. And so I wanted to dedicate an additional episode each to each one of those things. And so that's what I'm going to do starting here. What we're going to cover is this idea of diligent follow-up. Now, it sounds so easy to say it, right? That, hey, you need to follow up on your promises. You need to follow up on your commitments. You got to follow up on whatever it is that you deem necessary to do as a business. But it is so difficult for some businesses to do in real life. And I think I know the reason why. We're going to get to that in a second. But let's just talk about a few areas that follow-up is important. So we're going to start with the most obvious one, which is if you're a small business that does quotations, right? So there's many different types of small businesses. A lot of them are service-oriented, and most service-oriented businesses will have to do some type of a quotation or a proposal based on some service that they need to provide to a customer. So they typically go to a customer, they find out what the customer needs, and then they have to put together some type of proposal. That's basically what I do in my business on a regular basis. And again, most service-oriented businesses do that, whether it's, kind of construction contractor type work, whether it's website design, that type of work, whether it's consulting like I do, or teaching, or things of that nature. So again, that's very common. So this is a place where small businesses tend to fall down a lot because in reality, the capture rate on quotations can be relatively small, right? Depending on the type of business you are and so forth. So it means that you could be putting a lot of time and effort into doing some type of a proposal and then really never get anything in return on that. And it especially becomes frustrating when the customers that you're doing proposals for really have no intention of doing business with you. A lot of times they're just trying to do their due diligence and get another quote. They've already made their decision and they want to say, hey, I'm going to go out and look for some other things. Or they've already decided they want to be the lowest priced and you know that you're not the lowest price, right? So these are all kind of situations where you can definitely run into not getting the business as a result of doing the proposal. So it's really difficult in a business owner's mind to say, I'm going to put time and effort into that if I know that some large percentage of the time I'm not going to get the business. But the answer to that isn't to go out, do the proposal, and then just never respond, right? Which is what a lot of businesses do, or they take weeks to respond or whatever it is because they got busy in other things. The answer is make sure that you have a policy in how you want to handle quotations. Now, I will quote the things that I know that I could provide. So a lot of times I'll have companies come to me and say, hey, this is the type of training we need. Can you do it? Now, I know a lot of people in my situation would say, yeah, I could do it, and then they do the proposal and then really was something that they couldn't do or took time that they shouldn't have, spent or whatever else. I'm pretty clear in my strategy as to the type of training that I do, the type of coaching that I do, the type of services that I can provide. So if somebody comes to me that wants those types of services, I'm going to quote it. Even if I think that they are only going for low price, and even if I think that they've already decided on someone else, but they just want to get 2 or 3 more quotes to do their due diligence. The reason that I feel those are worthwhile opportunities is because I may be able to change their mind, right? I may be able to convince them that, hey, maybe I should be somebody that you take a second look at. If not on this round, maybe on a different round or maybe for a different project. So I want to get as much exposure as I can. I don't do a lot of kind of organic marketing, right? I'm not a very good self-promoter. I'm not one of those coaches that are out on LinkedIn all the time screaming about how great I am and all the great things that I can provide and what an incredible thought leader I am. That kind of thing makes me physically ill. I'm sorry if you're that type of a person, but it's just not me, right? So I rely on referrals. And when one of those referrals can result in me getting in front of someone to show them what I can do, I'm going to take that opportunity. But I am going to be selective about which opportunities I respond to, in as much as if you are asking me for a service that I don't normally provide, I'm not going to quote that. So I want to be very focused. But once I am focused, I'm going to follow up. So what that does is it kind of narrows the field right from the start as to the types of proposals that I will take. And in doing that, I know that I have a manageable list that I could always follow up on. Because, again, based on this whole theory, if I don't follow up, then I'm making a bad showing. And it would have been better if I just didn't take the call at all, right? So that's kind of one way that you can think about following up on proposals, is make sure that you know exactly the type of proposals that you want to take. And then that list becomes more manageable. Okay, so that's kind of the first area of follow-up we could talk about. The second area of follow-up we could talk about is when you actually have the client. And so a lot of times, I see small businesses that get the work, and then once they have the work, maybe they've taken on too many things, or maybe they're not resourced properly, or maybe they're just not very organized, which we're, again, going to get to in a minute. And all of those things can cause them to fall down on the job. Meaning that, you owe certain things to your clients, but you're just not providing them because you let dates skip, or you forgot, or you procrastinated, or whatever else it is. So again, one of the ways that you can counter that as a small business is take on a manageable amount of clients and projects. And if you're taking on too much, yes, you have to hire people. Yes, you have to bring other people into your business. A lot of people, including me, don't really love that prospect. I like kind of working alone, right? I'm a control freak. I'm the first one to admit it. So the minute you bring other people into the fold, you've got to, kind of cater to other people's way of doing things and, make sure that you're taking care of, their thoughts and their feelings. And all of those things are important. If you can't do that, or you're not good at that, then you're not going to succeed in having employees. Maybe I'm not so great at that, if I'm being very honest. And a lot of people aren't, right? So I know that, hey, this is the way I want to manage my business. It's me, and I contract people when I need to. That's my business. So I take on a manageable number of projects that I can handle based on that business model. But if I wanted to grow exponentially, I would have to find a way to hire employees and be comfortable with that, right? Hire the right types of employees, realizing that they're all not going to be like me and whatever else, all these different things. And I have to manage that type of a business. The point is, you've got to scale your business to the amount of work that you have. Otherwise, you're absolutely not going to be able to follow up on everything, right? And so similar to the quotation process, making sure that you have a good plan up front as to who you want to be so you could take on a manageable number of clients and never fall down on the job. Now, the other part of following up on existing clients has to do with just being organized. And to cover that one, I'm going to talk about the last place where small businesses need to follow up, and that's in their own administration. Now, I can go on forever about this topic, but as a small business owner, I can tell you there are a lot of things that you have to do. Governments do not make it easy to own your own business. I'm not going to lie. Everybody wants their piece of the pie. Everybody wants their taxes. Everybody wants their forms filled out. Everybody has their own ways of, making sure that businesses aren't being fraudulent and all these different things. And you have to deal with a lot of different agencies and a lot of different governments and a lot of different taxing authorities. And I mean, it's crazy. And the more business you do out of your own state, the worse that becomes. It's madness. And I'm not defending it because I think it's crazy. I think that as a country, we've got this completely wrong. We need to make it easier for people to make some money rather than harder. And we continue to make it harder at every turn. However, that aside, you have to realize as a business owner, there are a lot of boxes that need to be checked. And if you don't have a system to keep all of that stuff in check, you're going to fall down, right? You are going to fall down. I will tell you that I have a checklist of things that I have to do, not just every quarter, or certainly not every year, every month, every week, okay? Things that I have to do administratively, whether that's doing invoicing, which of course is client facing, whether that's following up on proposals, which we've already talked about, but also all of the other things like filing for my taxes and paying my estimated taxes and paying my sales taxes and making sure that I'm communicating with all of those different agencies, however I have to do it. I have trademarks, I have copyrights, all of that stuff has to be kept up. And there's many, many more things. The point is that, and by the way, I could do an entire course on this, and maybe I will at some point. I'm probably going to, but for now, realize that as a small business owner, there's a lot of boxes to check. And if you don't have a way to keep all of that organized, you're going to miss something. And then you've made your life harder, because if you miss paying your estimated taxes, then you've got to deal with the fallout of that, which takes 5 times as long as if you just paid it up front, right? And any one of these things is the same. So the point is, have some type of a system. Now, there's lots of ways that you could do this. I use a couple of different programs. One of them I use is a program called Todoist. It's just a to-do list program. I don't know how current it is, but I like it. This is not an advertisement for it. I'm not getting paid by them. This is just something that I have found is reasonably priced. I use it. I like it. And it's just a to-do list, right? It allows me to keep all of my items that I have to do in order. I can sort them by subject, have due dates, have alarms, notifications, all the basic things that any to-do list can do. And I think a lot of these things are built into programs like Gmail and Google and, probably Outlook as well. And there are other standalone programs also. But it's not that difficult once you get the hang of it. Just keep some type of a to-do list with due dates that can notify you when things are due. And proactively go out there, and the things that have a regular cadence, like bills that have to be paid, taxes that have to be paid, things of that nature, put them out there. And most of these programs allow you to do repeating tasks. So every April 15th, I have a notification that my taxes are due. And it's just an easy example, but you could do that with any task. So that's really important. Another thing that I have on the organization side, and this one helps me with proposals and quotations and customer work as well, is using the feature in your email program that allows the emails that you send to come back into your inbox at some date. I use Gmail or Google's Business Suite equivalent of that. And so their feature is called Snooze, right? So when I send an email to a client, maybe it's a proposal, maybe it's something, catching up with them, whatever else, I will then go into my sent mail and then snooze that sent email. What that does is it allows me to say, hey, on this date, make sure that that email comes back into my inbox. And so that sent email shows up in my inbox as something I have to follow up on. It is unbelievably valuable. It is probably the most utilized tool that I have, especially for client follow-up, but also for administration tasks and things like that. Super, super, super important. So whatever that feature is on your email program, most of them have it from my understanding. Try to use something like that. And I would tell you, it really, really is great. The other program that I use is a program called Trello. A lot of people are familiar with this. This is a program that is, I'd say, a little bit more of a project management tool in that it allows you to have cards and lists and things of that nature. I use that to manage my client work. So I do a lot of classes. So keeping track of when those classes are and which ones I have coming up and which ones I've invoiced and which ones I didn't. That's what I use for that task. Now, again, in a 10, 15-minute podcast, I can't go through all of my tools. Maybe that's something I should do as a course. Maybe I'll do a little teaching on that sometime in the future. But for now, what I want to say is utilize the technology that's available to you to keep these lists and make sure that you follow up on these tasks. And that is going to help you as a small business to make sure that you do follow that first golden rule that I have, which is diligent follow-up. And the one last thing that I'll end with that so many people are bad at, but you can't be, is you got to keep your inbox clean. I did an article on this on LinkedIn. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, it's just my name, Bob Caporelli, and you'll find that article. But the idea behind this step is make sure that your inbox is always clean. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I go to and I kind of glance over their shoulder and I see that they have hundreds, if not thousands, thousands of unread messages. And I get it. People are bombarded with emails and they don't follow up on it. But you know what? You got to get into a habit every day. Check your emails, get the ones that are spam and garbage out of the way, delete them, trash them, whatever else. The things that are just informational, put them into a folder so they're out of your inbox. And then the things that are left are the things you have to follow up on. Keep those in your inbox until you're done with them, right? And keep a habit of making sure that you get done with them. My inbox is never more than 20 messages long. And all of those things are kind of my ongoing list of things that I have to continually follow up on. Sometimes I can take some of those things, move them to a to-do list, and then move the email messages out of my inbox so that my inbox stays clean. If your inbox is not clean, you're not going to follow up on things, right? So those are kind of the ways that I would say follow up, just to, recap some of those things. Make sure that you manage your strategy as a business, making sure that you know what kind of clients you want to do proposals for and what kind of clients you want to have. Make sure you know what kind of business you want to be so you can match the work that you have to the type of business structure you want to have. And then use technology and tools to keep yourself organized and manage all of the incoming and outgoing requests so that you can constantly stay on top of things. That's as quick a summary as I can give you of that one. But of course, I can talk more about this. If you're interested in learning more about any of these things, hit me up. You can go to find me on strategygeneration.com. That's my business. And just use the contact link. It comes right to me and I will answer whatever questions you might have. Or you could go back to Dear Strategy, dearstrategy.net, use the contact link there and get in touch with me that way. And give me your feedback. Let me know what you think. And if you need some help with this, I'm happy to do that within the scope of what my business can do. So while you're doing all that, don't forget to make time for the plan. We'll see you back here on another episode of Dear Strategy. Thanks for joining.